Danni got 99 problems and therapy about to fix all of them. What's good, y'all? It's your good sis Erica Vane coming to you right here on Erica Vane TV with another Sistas video. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so you don't miss out on any of my sisters' content and conversations moving forward. We drop new videos every day and you're going to want to be here because the conversation is unmatched. I'm just saying, the conversation is unmatched and I'm just here as a facilitator to create this safe space for us to have these dialogues around these very important topics playing out in one of our favorite shows. Tony introduced the idea of therapy to Danni in season 7, episode 1. And she was very apprehensive to it. She literally said, "What do you think, I'm crazy?" at the thought that he would bring it up. Now, I'm not going to use this time in this video to point out the fact that Danni didn't even know her boyfriend was in therapy. Oh, I think I just did. But therapy is a very, very important thing. It's definitely important for a person like Daniella, who has consistently experienced traumatic circumstances over the course of her life and never really taken the time to process and deal with it. She just basically pushed forward. I love that Tony brought in Sabrina as backup to help push Danni to go to therapy, and we know that she's actually going to go in season 7. To confirm this, one of the new characters that we get to meet this season name is Kratia or Krishia. Not sure how to pronounce it, but she's described as female, 36, petite. This friendly sage therapist conducts an awkward first therapy session with a closed-off client, remaining assuring and patient throughout. She is honest and expects honesty in return. Love this for Daniella. So shout out to Danni's therapist, Kratia, who's joining the series. Let's talk about what Danni needs to unpack in therapy. She joked with Tony about how she has to go some way, basically like alluding to how she's going to die. And like, oh, you're going to be the one that kills me because you're basically like a crazy person since you go to therapy, because only crazy people go to therapy. And maybe this is how I go. So maybe part of what she starts to unpack is how she sees herself dying, or even that the fact that she imagines herself dying. In that joke, because I understand that it was a joke, y'all, but Danni uses humor in very inappropriate ways sometimes, and I think that she uses this as a defense and deflection mechanism. In her using that, to me, it gave me a thought about, how often does Danni think about dying? Did she think about dying when Jonah attacked her the first time? Did she think about dying when Jonah attacked her the second time? Does she think about dying when she's going through these emotionally tumultuous moments and she feels like her heart is being ripped from her chest? Did she feel like dying when she was, sexually assaulted in college? Like, so many things have happened to this girl, and the way that she refers to death and like kind of trivially throws it around in jokes, it really just makes me wonder. So I think that how she sees herself dying is definitely something that she can unpack. The next thing that I think that she needs to unpack is her purpose in life. I have not made no qualms about the fact that it is not clear to me in the audience, and I don't believe it's clear to her, what she's actually living for. What are you doing here, girl? What do you want out of life? What do you hope for? Who's the woman that you want to be or aspire to? What are the goals that you have? I just asked that question, and I don't think anybody listening or in the Sistas audience can answer that based off of what we have seen from this character in 6 seasons. We know that she wants to smoke weed and drink. That's it. People who move through life aimlessly definitely have to unpack that, because personally I feel like it's unnatural, and I don't think that you have to be overly ambitious, but even people who desire to have a simple life with a family, like a couple of kids, and want to provide for somebody and want to feel connected to God and like want to grow a garden. Like, there are so many desires that people can have that are not tied to money or societal's version of success. But the point is, people want for something, strive for something. People who are not just existing do so by desiring deeply and having a driven vision towards something, and Danni doesn't have that. Third set of things that she could unpack while in therapy is her physical, emotional, and mental abuse that she's experienced. we've gotten to see quite a bit of it, and before the series started, she has it in her past. So that is definitely probably top priority to attack and deal with, because I think that those things have definitely informed her self-image, her self-esteem, and how she is currently navigating in life. She can also unpack how she feels like she is perceived. In the first season, one of the big things for her storyline was not feeling respected within the girl group, feeling left out between Andi and Karen, who had very real life situations going on, but they didn't actually share that with Sabrina and Danni. And we later learned that Karen shared some of those things with Sabrina, but not necessarily Danni. And that brings up feelings. That puts you in a place to feel a type of way. Like, am I undervalued or less respected in my friendship circle? I don't like how that feels. And aside from them keeping information from her, she also needed to, in season 1, she was specifically navigating how she looked and feeling the way when Zach revealed to her that the girls think that she's big and eats too much, or whatever jokes that they were making about her in reference to her weight. And that's something that weighs on people. You can be the most confident person in the world, but the people that you love don't see you in the light that you believe that you should be seen in, or how you see yourself. It creates a little cognitive dissonance, and it creates some conflict. And sometimes we internalize that conflict versus dealing with it, processing it, and rejecting it as we should, so that we can really focus on being whoever we want to be, regardless of what people want for us. But sometimes people, and I think Daniella internalizes it, and it becomes this negative feedback loop that also informs the things that you do. So that could be something that leads to why you drink so much or why you smoke so much. Like, I don't like how I look. My friends don't like how I look. They don't include me in this. I've been physically abused. Like, I don't have no purpose. I have nothing to look for. So yeah, I'm not going to have no food in this fridge, but I'm going to have alcohol, you know? And I'm pointing out all of these things. If you find yourself in this position or circumstance, or what I'm saying sounds like your life, please know that I'm not saying this from a place to judge you. And this is why media is so important. That's why the show named Sistas is so important, because being able to see it play out can give you a way to look at yourself from outside of yourself and be a little bit more objective. So know that I'm saying this with love, know that I'm saying this with intention, but I'm saying it with honesty. And hopefully this could inspire you. If you're not already in therapy or looking to get into therapy, then you pursue that avenue of healing. And it could be brought on by seeing yourself in Daniella. Other things that she can unpack while in therapy: her drinking and drug use is excessive, and she has done certain things while under the influence that just makes you raise an eyebrow. I'm personally sober and don't plan to drink anymore for the rest of my life. But that's because I have personal feelings around alcohol and how it poisons our body, and it just doesn't help you do much of anything. But I'm not even saying that she needs to be a completely sober person. I think Danni needs to not lean heavily on substances to numb herself or to cope with the trauma that's currently playing out in her life. She can also unpack her rocky romantic history, from the failed relationship that was Preston to the guy before Preston, which was basically a guy who used her for sex and didn't call her and then disrespected her in that grocery store, to the random hookups in between, El Fuego and Q. And even though El Fuego had some promise, y'all, but I guess they had to focus with all the Queen's men with him. Anyway, that is definitely something that she can go into therapy and talk about, really unpack her romantic history. And then again, overall, her friendships. Why are you friends with the people that you're friends with? How do you feel about your friends? Do you feel inspired? Do they make you feel less than? I personally feel like in the circumstances that we've seen Danni in, I could totally see how she's jealous of her friends, and that's why she responds the way that she does, because a lot of them have so much more going for them than she does. And that's something that she also is going to need to process while in therapy. Again, everyone can benefit from therapy regardless of how happy and healthy you currently are in your life. This video is to talk about Danni and going to therapy. Those are some of the things that I'm hoping that we're going to see play out. Let me know what you are hoping to see play out. But I feel like I could not end this video without also speaking about the other sisters and who could benefit from therapy specifically. Now, I don't have Sabrina on this list because for right now, she's good. Even though everybody can benefit at any given point in time, Sabrina wouldn't be top priority. After Daniella, the next person I would have go to therapy is Andi. And I feel like all of the signs, and there's no real need for explanation, but I'm gonna give you a little bit. Andi's willingness to stay in such toxic and abusive relationships definitely means that she needs to sit on somebody's couch and she needs to process and develop resources for how she navigates life and finds value in herself, so much so that she doesn't get into a relationship where she's the mistress. She doesn't accept being physically, mentally, or emotionally harmed. She doesn't accept being bought and manipulated by money. She checks her shallowness and superficialness, because none of that adds to her value and her soul as a person. It is just clothes. It is just shoes. It is just a car. None of that is who you actually are. And I think that she needs to have time with someone outside of her life who could be objective and like help pour that into her to give her additional value and additional substance. I think after that, Fatima needs to go to therapy. And I think it's twofold for me, because she's revealed that she has been to therapy before, but she believes that she doesn't need to be there now, and she was pushing for Zach to go. So she understands the importance of therapy, but she doesn't actually see how it would benefit her right now in real life. She has allowed a man to come into her life and then put her in the back seat, not even the passenger seat, but put her in the back seat of the car that is driving her life. And there's no room for her to express her desires, her interests, to pursue any ambitious pursuits, because she's spending all of the time in her day trying to love this man, trying to show up for this man, trying to jump through hoops as it pertains to navigating this man's insecurity, which is a baggage that he comes to this relationship with because of all of the experiences that he has had with other women in his life. So Fatima going through the mental and emotional Olympics of being the optimal woman to Zachary Taylor has now taken full focus and full priority in her life. And she needs to sit across from a therapist so that they can tell her that, and she can realize the time is now to take back her power, to understand that she can be a beautiful, amazing, bomb girlfriend that doesn't completely sacrifice herself for her man. That she is her best self, or she's a better girlfriend when she is operating at her best self, when she is filling up her own cup, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Fatima, unfortunately, is on a toxic cycle of burnout as it pertains to their relationship, and I could see them making up and breaking up as we got to see play out in Fatima. Because the lack of communication, they're not equally prioritizing each other within the relationship. Everything is focused on Zach. They're not doing the work that they need to do on their own so that they can come back to the relationship as a better person for their partner. There's so much there that could be talked about. But I definitely think that third up would definitely be Fatima. And last but certainly not least is my good sis Karen. We have watched her over the course of the last 4 seasons go through a tumultuous breakup and untying her life from the man who she thought was the love of her life, who has become the father of her unborn child. There's so many emotions that are tied to that, in addition to all that she experienced in a 3-year toxic relationship with this man. So clearly there's things that she needs to deal with in reference to that. The reason why I have her last is because the season that we're watching Karen in right now, where she's finally focused on herself, the baby, and her salon, I feel like she's starting to do the work necessary outside of like sitting across from somebody that makes it less pertinent for her. Like she don't emergency it's not an emergency for her to go to a therapist. Like right now, if she was to go to a therapist, it would be for her to get a push to stay on the same path that she's on. and get additional resources as she goes into motherhood and maybe preparing for postpartum and things like that. Mind you, like the Karen 2 seasons ago, I felt like it was much more of an emergency situation where she needed to talk to somebody, because she was literally still in the thick of not being able to let go, not being able to release Zach, fighting all of the emotions and her desires and her dreams, and like grieving the life that she thought that she was going to have with this man, and all of that came with that. All right, but the video is getting a little bit long. It's all about therapy. Let me know your thoughts about any of it in the comment section down below. Give this video a like. You made it all the way to the end, so I think that you liked it. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on the next one. YouTube actually thinks that you would love this video next, because I drop so many videos, it has to like tailor it to your algorithm, right? But it's perfect. Go ahead and click.